Facebook open as well. Okay, we're live. Hi everyone. Sorry about that. We had to completely change platforms in like 2 minutes, so that was
a bit stressed.
We're a bit flustered now. We're here. That's the main thing.
Problems.
Yeah, we solved that one. So today we decided about half an hour ago that we were going to do a live about comfort measures at home. We've had a few people ask us questions about this with changing their birth plans at the last minute. So yeah, we thought we'd go over some of those things, some of those techniques. Where do you want to start, guys? Should we
just
about pain
do a
itself?
quick intro in case no one's ever seen us before?
Yeah, you can start.
Thanks. I was hoping you'd say that. Thanks, Davey.
You can start every time if you want.
No, thanks, you're not. Hello, my name is Ellie. It looks like Elle, but it's Ellie. The end.
Thanks for that, Elle.
Shut up.
I'm Laurie. Oh no, wrong way.
Oh no, wrong hand. Was that the end of your introduction?
Yeah. Also known as Lauren, or Laurie.
Can you tell that we're on a new platform and we're excited about having our names on?
What if it's not on to everybody else and it's just on to us?
Oh my God, embarrassing. Although not as bad as just my face being live.
That was a close one.
That was bad. It's gone now. It's fine. I'm Amy. It looks like Amy. That's Amy. Yeah, we're all doers, and that's us.
Yeah.
So we've had a few questions recently, all about the same thing, which is comfort techniques at home. So there are many women, because of what's been going on, suddenly planning a home birth and suddenly going, oh, I thought I was going to give birth in hospital where I had all of these pain relieving options, and at home I've got nothing. Well, you don't have nothing at home. You've actually got tons of things.
Maybe
so we're going to go.
To start would be what medical options are available at home, because obviously in a hospital, especially if you're on a delivery unit, you have all of those options available to you. Some of those are available to you at home, so maybe it's worth going through those as a starting point, and then we can look into.
That's a great idea.
Possibly more effective ways of managing your sensations. So I guess the first thing that is often suggested to women, and I call them advice, and they say, if you're having labour, great, go and get in the bath, have 2 paracetamol, and then call us in a bit. So I thought that would be a good one to start with, because we had a little bit of a conversation about this earlier, didn't we, with a client. One, I mean, the sensations of labour are intense, even early on. I'm not sure why 2 paracetamol would ever be effective, really. But then there's also the evidence that looks at actually it might be harmful to take paracetamol. I think the evidence shows something about how it inhibits, is it the prostaglandin, which is what you need in order for your cervix to ripen before it dilates. So if your production of fat is inhibited, then your early labour is going to be much longer. So that's something that is often suggested and is available, but maybe isn't a great idea. Not that we're here to tell women what to do.
there's research on it, so people can find out more about it if you want to.
Yeah, great blog by the Undercover Midwife,
Mm-hmm.
who started talking about it, so we can post that later. When Laurie's talking, I can hear a shoo, 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 shoo sound. You can hear it as well.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
This is what you get.
Do you know what? It see the flash on my laptop. It sounds like it's going to take off. Let me see if Oh. I'm trying to get headphones. They're under a load of rubbish. Let me put these in and see if it makes a difference. Let me see.
Oh,
That did make a difference.
you did.
Am I back?
Oh,
Yeah,
that-
you disappeared.
you disappeared for a sec.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
much better.
Is that a bit better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Perfect.
I'm back. Crystal clear.
I knew it. Where else? Where were we?
You're talking about medical options that are available at home.
At home, if you have a train of thought, if you have midwives present, I suppose. I guess the other one is Entonox, also known as gas and air.
Yeah, midwives can bring that to your home.
And how that happens varies from hospital to hospital, sometimes from shift to shift. Sometimes it's dropped off weeks before the onset of labour. Sometimes it's brought with midwives, and sometimes it's brought after midwives in a taxi.
Yeah, it really depends on the hospital, doesn't it? I think certainly from anecdotal evidence, it's really, really mixed.
See Daddy.
I need you to go to bed. We'll talk about it later. Mummy's doing it.
When you suddenly woke up and sick.
Yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, I think it's really mixed. Some women say I absolutely couldn't have done it without gas and air. It was, it was what made the difference for me. Other women saying it just made me feel really sick and didn't actually make any difference to how I felt the sensations. So there's that. And this one, I know it was available for me at home for one of my births, but not the other. And I think it is dependent on your trust. But pethidine is sometimes available at home, although I think it's kind of falling out of favour now, isn't it, as a drug to use. Yeah.
I think is that all the medical ones, I think?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Anything to add?
Well, I was just going to say about pethidine, how available it is comes down to, from trust to trust. But also, I learned recently from a post from Deborah Neger, it really does come down to each individual midwife because it's an opiate. So if you're not comfortable administering an opiate at home birth, then if that's a boundary for you as a midwife, then that's okay. So it might not even just come down to each individual trust, but it is something you can talk about before the onset of labour. It's much easier to talk about these things beforehand. And just as you might find out that your trust brings Entonox in a taxi once, labour is established or whatever, if you know that you've had that before and it's really made a difference to you, or you haven't and you just really want to try it and you know that it's really important to you, then have that conversation and say, I want that right from the onset of labour. I want that from as soon as midwife walks through the door. I want to know that that's going to be there. And for some women, that's the main reason that they call a midwife. It's really, really important to them. I've tried it once and it made me feel sick, and so I can't. But how it makes another person feel is it's completely relative to them. And I've seen some women say I couldn't have done it without it. Sometimes I wonder if it's like a magic feather, and if a woman feels empowered by her birth, or she feels like she was in control, or feels like she had a great time, then whatever it was that she used, she says, that's the thing that gave me this really positive birth. So, but it doesn't matter what that thing is. It really doesn't.
I guess one of the pros of Entonox is that even though I hear a lot of women say, oh no, it made me feel nauseous, or I was too spaced out, or it made me feel weird, that the effects of it wear off very quickly. So if you try it and then through one surge and then you hated it, you can just stop using it. And the effects are gonna wear off really quickly.
Yeah, for the mother and for the baby as well. It's not going to cross the blood-brain barrier, and it's not going to affect your baby. A word on Entonox that's very little known, and I'm definitely going to accidentally swear.
You don't need
So,
to.
you know the MTHFR gene?
What are you on about?
Oh, you know that gene that makes you susceptible to having dangerously low B12 levels.
Are you told me?
Oh, yeah, you've told us about this before.
I
I don't know what the gene is, but anyway, carry on.
It looks like motherfucker if you write it down. If you were to like take all the vowels out, that's what it looks like. So if you have this gene expression, and it's, unless you get kind of private testing, it's quite difficult to know that you have it. But if you do have it, then having Entonox can be incredibly it can just be dangerous, because you know how we have two levels of B12. We have the stuff that's available to use, and then we have the stores. It can deplete the stores, and when you have low stores, it's really difficult to build that back up, and that's an effect that Entonox can have. And apparently, this gene is more common than we know of. And if you look at the other ways that it manifests in the body, you might read it and go, "Oh my god, that's me." So you might not need the test to know if you have it. You might just look at the other signals that you have it and go, oh yeah, that's me. And a lot of midwives who've become burnt out from being midwives, actually, when they've looked at the symptoms of having this gene and then being near Entonox, they've actually gone, oh, it wasn't midwifery that burned me out. It was actually just having this gene expression. Wow. So something to think about that doesn't come up, but when you start reading about it, it's prevalent.
Although I wonder how much of an impact that would have on a woman in labour, because she's not, unless she has a very long labour, she's not going to be using Entonox for a really, really prolonged period of time, and be exposed to it in as often as, say, a midwife would be.
That's true.
But it's worth bearing in mind and doing a bit more research if you think that it's something that might impact you. Let's get on to the good stuff. Because so often I hear, when I had both my babies at home, and a lot of the comments I get are, oh, I couldn't have done it at home. I needed all of the drugs. I needed all of that to help me. But I would say that that's not the good stuff. I think the good stuff is the stuff that it's all the other stuff that we're going to go into. Take it away, Ellie.
I was just thinking the other day about that phrase. You know the one about the doula, and it says, if a doula were a drug,
it would be unethical
not to use it. But then I was thinking about it yesterday when I went to the dishwasher, and any drug's unethical if you just like wantonly use it. You have to just use it if the person wants it. You can't just go, this is a really ethical drug, I should give it to everybody. That's not how drug giving goes. But I do see where it's coming from. It will be unethical not to offer it is better than it will be unethical not to use it.
That's a much more doula way of putting it.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
I think one of the biggest things that a woman can do in order to have a positive impact on the way that she experiences the sensations of labour is work on her mindset beforehand. If she's going into that birth thinking, it's going to be horrendous, it's going to be painful, it's going to be the worst thing I've ever experienced, that's probably what's going to happen. And actually, when you look into it and you realise that, our physiology doesn't mean that birth has to be inherently painful. That I think that mindset shift can have such a huge impact.
Definitely. I mean, it comes down to the hormones, really, doesn't it? Like, the fear and the tension that you feel. If you fear that it's going to be painful, you're going to feel tense, and then your body is fighting against that, and it's not kind of allowing the oxytocin and the endorphins to do their thing. The natural pain relief that our body already has ready to use gets interrupted by the fear. So yeah, being relaxed is a big part of that, and working through that fear before you go into labor.
And I think even during labor, knowing that you are always the one with that power, you are always the one in control. I remember in my own births that when I felt a surge coming on, if I felt it coming on and went, oh no, here's another one, as it built, it felt unbearable. It got to the point where it felt like I couldn't do it. But then once it passed, I was able, even in that time between one surge to the next, I was able to get that mindset back on like a positive track. So then when the next one came, like, okay, I can do this, and then was able to ride the surge in a much more manageable way. So I think even if you don't feel like you've done all of that work beforehand, even though I think it is valuable, like it's never too late.
Yeah, definitely.
To work on that.
Can you guys hear my washing machine?
No.
No.
It gets really loud towards the end, so I might before it starts. I'll be back.
I suppose maybe a short word about how pain relievers work in the body. So in a normal spontaneous labour, you've got the intensity of the feelings and they build, but then you've got your, I'm going to say, beta endorphins.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they will match and then the mirror thing, and then raise as the feelings get more intense. So the endorphins also raise.
Because the intensity of the feelings is your body producing more oxytocin, and therefore your uterus contracting more, and yeah.
Which is what you need. There's no way to get around that. That is how labour works. That your surges will get stronger and closer together until they become expulsive.
Yeah, and the reason why what Amy was talking about before, that we have that fear, tension, pain cycle where we feel scared, we get tense, we feel pain, is that when we feel scared, we produce adrenaline, which inhibits oxytocin. So then you're not producing the endorphins in the same way that you would be if you were feeling safe and calm and welcoming each sensation. So as your oxytocin is going up, your beta endorphins are going up.
And another quick aside about the drugs that are used for augmentation or induction of labour. It might be called synthetic oxytocin, but it is in no way oxytocin. It doesn't have the oxytocin that we produce is part of our bodies, and it's part of that cocktail. It's part of that dance. But the synthetic one doesn't do the same thing. It might have an effect on the uterus and then the cervix, but that doesn't. That's not what labour is about. The uterus and the cervix are not acting in isolation. They're a part of the whole woman and the whole environment. You can't just replace it like that and expect it to do the same thing.
No.
Yeah, definitely.
So things you have at home, or things you could have at home.
Or anywhere else. But yeah.
Water.
Yes.
Insert plug for our pool hire scheme.
Yeah.
We haven't got that many pools, so don't show off.
Wasn't too much.
I mean, Michelle Odent, the French obstetrician, talks about even just being near water has a positive effect. You don't even need to be in it. I think there's something in us that we're called to be near water. We find it calming. We find it grounding. And anything that helps you to feel grounded and calm is going to increase your oxytocin and your beta endorphins. So it always comes back to that, doesn't it? That cocktail of hormones.
Yeah.
And there's loads of ways that you can use water in labour. I think the most obvious one is probably hiring a. Actually, that's probably not the most obvious. I was going to say the most obvious is hiring a birth pool. But I would imagine the most obvious is probably just getting in your bath or your shower.
The reason it feels the most obvious is because that is the way to get fully submerged, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the way.
And that definitely has a different effect on the body, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Compared to just being in water.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
No, but if you read Michel Odent's book, it's called Water and Sexuality, and it's crazy old. But he does go into detail about that. It's about us being basically, he calls us marine mammals. No, marine primates. He goes on about it, and it was very good, and it made an impression, but not so much that I can recall any actual facts. But it's a good plug for his book, if you can get it.
Naomi said yes to shower.
The shower, the beautiful shower. The shower is wonderful for being in water, obviously not for being submerged, but you can get it on your lower back. But also, it's so private. And I've been at births where the woman has really needed a reset moment. Either something's gone on, or for whatever reason, she just needs to go, I need a do-over with this labour. I need to start again. I need to get into a different mindset. I need to shake things up. And going into the shower, so often I just sit outside and I crochet, and I can just hear the transformation. And she steps out of that shower and out of that bathroom, a new woman.
Completely. I wonder how much of it is like there's a symbolism there, isn't it? Like when we've got the water flowing on us and then running away, and it's like if there is like a cleansing there, isn't there?
Yeah.
But yeah, in my first labour, the shower was like a godsend. I had a birth pool and I had a bath, but the shower was a way of getting like some pressure on my back through the sensations. So it was like the water and the privacy and the sensation of the pressure of the water. It's a good mix.
Yeah.
I think the pain is it's such a huge thing, and not even medical people understand pain. Technically, pain is just what somebody says it is. That's the definition of pain, isn't it? So I don't know how you can kind of rank pain relief, but I was told that being in water is the next tier down from morphine. That's how strong it is.
Oh, I've got another comment. Can you see it?
All I can see is you saying, "Can't you see me?"
Oh, you need to go across to live comments.
Oh,
New platform. It's too confusing. Larry, could you read it?
Did I read it out? Yeah. Amniotic fluid is very similar in chemical composition to seawater. I did not know that. And given that we spend the first phase of our lives in water, it's no surprise we have a common connection to it. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about the chemical composition though. That's so cool. Yeah, when that birth video came out of that woman birthing in the sea, everyone lost their shit. Oh, why would you want to have your baby in the sea? It's dirty and oh. Yeah.
People always lose their shit though, don't they?
For a woman birthing in her power. How dare she?
Yeah. Anything you like. Someone will lose their shit.
So if you're looking for a birth pool, because we're obviously in Manchester right now, and we've got a little pool hire scheme. If there's anybody else outside of Manchester, then have a look in your area to see if you've got a community pool hire scheme. Have a look on eBay for secondhand ones, because it's always good practice to use a liner, so it doesn't so much matter if it's secondhand.
Yeah, contact doulas as well. That are, often doulas have ones that they give out or hire out for a small fee. So
some midwifery teams do.
Yeah.
Sorry, Amy.
No, you like you said, some like hospitals and home birth teams have birth pool hire schemes as well.
Yeah, I know specifically in Manchester, I've heard of Tameside giving out pools. Yeah.
And if anybody has a spare pool that they want to donate or sell to us, please let us know, because we are always trying to build on our little repertoire of, I think we only have 7 pools, so it'll be nice to get more than 7.
Absolutely.
So water. So you've got your pool. If you haven't got a pool and you want to be in water, then you can make your bath deeper by putting some blue tack or some duct tape over the overflow, so you can get it a little bit deeper. Sitting in the shower, having the water aimed at your lower back can feel pretty awesome. Having a jug nearby, so that if you are in water and you're not fully submerged, having the water, somebody pouring the water on your lower back can feel pretty cool. Rhythmic motions feel really nice, because it just reminds you that the sensations come and the sensations go. And that even if you're, and mentally, if you're stuck in a rut or you're starting to panic, there's always another one. There's always another minute where you can, where the next one can feel different, because you can feel different.
Yeah.
Sorry, so that's water.
Pardon?
That's water. Done.
That's water. Done.
What can birth partners do to support a woman labouring in water?
Well, they can do the pouring of jugs.
The pouring.
Holding the shower head close to the. That's quite nice.
For sure.
Sometimes taking it as a sign to back up a bit. So actually, women have, when they're undisturbed, women have a really good sense of what they need and what they don't need in labour. And if there's something that they need, they will often tell you.
I want to add about temperature. So women often really want the warmth of the water, and at the same time, they also want cold. So it can be quite a good idea to get a Tupperware, a container of cold water with ice in and a couple of flannels, because then the woman can be submerged in the warm water and can be getting the benefit of that. But on the back of her neck or on her forehead, to have that cold, if she wants it, that can feel amazing, and then she's getting the best of both worlds. Naomi says flannel. Flannel. 2 flannels are even better, because then one can be cooling while the other one is on the neck or the back or whatever. But if you have these things to hand, you can use them. But if you're running about in labour between surgeries trying to find these things, it can be quite tricky. Or maybe that's just because I don't live in the house and I don't know where these things are.
Naomi shouted flannel at me.
Oh, right. Oh, is that your little mantra? So that's water.
But what going back to what you said, what can partners?
Yes.
How can partners support with water? Depending on the size of your pool, being in the water with you, so you can still get the benefits of that, but also the benefits of having them close by. I think when a woman's in water, it can be a really nice position to be close, like physically close. That often when she's leaning over the edge of the pool, like it's a nice position to like sit and hold her hands, or to just be quite close to her if that's what she wants. And all of the things that you would do when a woman isn't in the pool, you can do when she is in the pool. So massage or counter pressure on her lower back, all of that stuff.
That is so hard when she's in the pool, though.
It is, but it's doable. And do you know what? You're not having the baby, so you can't complain about things being hard.
Another benefit of the water, I know we're still on water, we're like 10 minutes in, but Oh, more than 10 minutes in. Jeez.
Half an hour.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, another benefit is being able to move easier, for positioning or, yeah, it just helps a little bit with that.
Yeah, and it's your zone as
Mm.
well. It's a physical zone as well as an emotional zone.
You've got your boundary there.
Yeah, you get a regular pool and just sit in the middle, and then
No one touch me. Yeah.
right. Is that water covered? White feels good.
I think we've covered water. I'm sure we're going to end up going back to it though, because we're so drawn to it.
We are.
That's true. Here's one that's very away from water. TENS machine.
Yeah, definitely away from water.
Far, far away.
Definitely one or the other.
Bonus points for whoever can say what TENS stands for.
Oh God.
Electrical something system.
Something. No.
I don't know. I'm just going to think about it for a second.
Think with Google.
Oh, tricky.
That's cheating. I think it's transmission of electrodes or something. Something like that.
Doesn't really matter what it stands for. Let's explain what a TENS is. And it's crazy because I get like, I have some muscular pain often. And somebody always says, "Oh, have you ever tried TENS?" And I go, "No, I should do that. I've got 2 TENS machines at home and I still never have."
Yeah.
So I'm not the one to talk about TENS.
I mean, I've got a little one that I use for period pain sometimes.
How does it work for you?
For me, it works. Like, it's weird because I lent it to my friend when she was having a really painful period, and she was just like, you don't notice that it's working until it stops because it's on a timer, my little one. So she was like, I don't know, like she didn't notice that it was working, and then it beeped and it stopped, and she was like, the pain just came straight back. So that, yeah, it does kind of, I don't know, for me it's probably different for everyone, but for me, yeah, it does work for that. I don't know how effective it is in labour. Do either of you use?
Yeah, so I used it both times. And yeah, similar to you, I remember having it on quite early on and using it and feeling like it wasn't doing enough. So I was going to get in the pool, and obviously I had to take it off. And when I took it off, wow, I realized it did something. So it works by sending electrical. It disrupts the pain signals, doesn't it, to your brain? So yeah, I think again it's one of those that has quite mixed reviews. That some women say it was amazing, and other women say it didn't do anything. I think one of the negatives that I would see in using a TENS machine, that it very much, I think it does engage like your neocortex. You're kind of thinking this is the start and this is the end, and I'm going to press the boost, and then I'm not going to press the boost, and I need to figure out where it is from. Like it kind of uses a bit of brain power, doesn't it, to use it rather than just surrendering to the sensations that are going on in your body.
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning as well, like those impulses, the natural impulses that your body's sending to your brain, they are doing that for a reason. Any kind of interruption to that it's an interruption. So yeah, there's probably.
Then I think with anything, when we talk about preparing for birth, it's just options, isn't it? And it's a relatively low cost option that, again, is similar to Entonox. If you don't like it, you just take it off and you stop using it.
Yeah, that's true.
and then you go, oh, I want it back on again.
Yeah.
We also can hire out TENS machines, just saying. Lizzie said transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation. We were way off.
We were way off.
Electrical. Wait, no, I don't know what I said.
You did say trans something.
Yeah,
but did you think it was going to be trans through the skin?
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Okay.
Would you say that TENS machines work on the gateway pain theory, or is that a separate thing?
Okay, say more.
So the pain signals travel through your spine up to your brain, and there's only so much can get through there at the same time. And if you do anything else at the same time, even if it's like light touch massage that you learn in hypnobirthing, then that works on the gateway theory, that your brain can only focus on so much at a time. Do you think that TENS works on that, or is that a different thing?
Yeah, I think it does.
I don't know if it's more I think it interrupts the signals rather than sending more. But maybe, I don't know. We didn't even know what it was called, so.
That's true.
But it's something you can try.
It is. You can try it by, you can ask us if we've got one going spare. You can go to Boots. They're about, I think, I don't know.
There's about £30 to hire. You can buy them. They're relatively cheap.
You buy them, and then you buy the pads to go on as well. And if you are practicing ahead of time, and let's say you've got a packet of 4 pads, then you can practice with them and then just stick them together, so that when you want to use them, you can just unstick them and then put them on. So you don't think that as long as it's just you using it, you don't need to change the pads. It's okay to have a practice ahead of time, and then.
Yeah, and I think it's worth having a practice just to get a sense of whoever's sticking them on you to know where they go. The last thing you want is for someone to be like reading through an instruction manual to figure it all out when you're in labour.
Yeah. And if you're doing it yourself, then it's less thinking, isn't it? If you already know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. TENS.
What else? TENS. Where to get them from? What they do? How birth partners can support. Did we say how birth partners can support? 2 go on the low back, 2 go on the bra line.
Yeah, sticking them on.
Yep, sticking them on. That's helpful.
Making sure that she doesn't get in water with it on.
God, I've had some really close calls with that.
Oh my God.
Because when you're in labour and you're just in the zone, it can be easy to forget that you've got an electrical device hanging around your neck.
If you're just drawn to the water.
Yeah,
clearly. Yeah.
Right.
We're back at water again.
Amy.
Step away.
I think it was me that sent us there.
What's next? Physical touch. What's wrong, Ellie?
Nothing.
Take it away, Ellie. Physical touch. Physical touch can help in so many different ways. You already mentioned like light touch massage, and I think when we talk about birth partners and women say don't like the touch that they're getting, it's because it's not light. It's because it's like just I don't know. And I think generally, if we're talking about touch that's movement during labour, women prefer it to be light touch. Or they want firm, hard pressure in one place. Yeah.
That sounds like a sweeping statement, but I've honestly never seen it not be true.
Yeah. And that I think when you see someone touching a woman and they're trying to and they're using pressure but moving around, you often see the woman moving because she's trying to get that pressure in the place that she wants it. But she's not able to communicate that verbally because she's in her lizard brain and doing her birthing thing. So her body's responding by moving around to try and get that pressure in the right place.
that's why we have tennis balls in our doula bags, is because sometimes the woman wants that counter pressure, but she also doesn't want to
I don't. But I would encourage you to have a tennis ball if you think that you might want to use one.
That's a good idea.
Buy your own damn tennis balls. It's like £1 for 3.
You can buy them at the moment. They're probably not essential.
So they come into play when the woman wants the counter pressure on her lower back, but she doesn't want physical contact with a human.
Yeah.
So she can put that on her like sacral region of her back, stand against the wall, and either just push and sway to find that sweet spot, so that can feel really nice. For birth partners, finding that spot and knowing that spot can move throughout labour. Don't be afraid to give firm pressure. Counter pressure can feel counterintuitive because already there's so much pressure going on inside the woman and there's so much opening, and sometimes you might see the bump on her back, which is her back moving out of the way to give the baby more space, and you think the last thing I should be doing is creating more pressure here, especially if she's on her hands and knees and she's on a hard floor. It can feel like kind of mean to put one hand on top of the other and then to put all of your weight on it, but she will thank you.
Yeah.
Much more so than if you're like, oh, here or here, you're quite likely to get slapped in that scenario.
Yeah, I think don't be afraid of getting it wrong. Just be confident as a birth support in what you're trying to offer that woman, and she'll let you know if it's not right. And it might be that 1 minute you're doing something and that's exactly what they want, and then all of a sudden the woman shrugs you off, and then you let go, and then she screams your name because she wants that back again. That actually, like, I think you say this often, don't you? That we're getting constant up-to-date feedback on what's going on in our bodies at any one time, and I don't think any more than when we're in labour. And I think that women are really good at saying in whatever way they need to, yes, I want that. No, I don't want that. And just being confident. I think it's hard to say yes or no when the person offering the support doesn't know what they're offering you. If they're not confident in that.
What kind of touch feels good? So it's demonstrated in this tiny little screen, light touch, and it really is like I did a massage thing at college, and it really is as light as you can touch a person. You do it at the beginning of a massage to bring the sensations to the surface and to make the nerves extra sensitive to the massage so you can get the most out of it. So I don't know, I think it's got a few different names in hypnobirthing, but just doing it as light as you can. My doula did that on my arm, and it was absolute heaven.
I was just going to say, if someone finds that ticklish normally, do you think they would like it in labour?
Oh, I don't know, I'm not ticklish.
Because I can tickle myself by doing
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a point. That is a point.
You'll find out pretty quickly.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, find that out. Have a practice. Be prepared to get slapped. That it's not right.
Don't take it personally.
Don't take it personally. Another move, if there's such a thing, that I find myself using. Sometimes I just do one and then just try it out, and I think she'll let me know if that's good or not, and then that's it. Then you're stuck doing it for 10 hours. But hip squeezes. It depends what position she's in, but it's as easy as it sounds. You just find the bones and I can't do it here. Imagine she's very, very small.
Tiny woman.
She's teeny. Don't push too hard, and then just push with your palms. It's easier if you, depending on the angle of your arms. I can't really demonstrate right now. The hip squeezes. Google hip squeezes, and don't be afraid to push hard. And there's another way to do hip squeezes with the rebozo. Oh, hello.
Yeah, try it now.
That's brilliant. It's just the same.
You can see all my laundry on the chair. Around sideways.
We all know, where
you can understand it's about squeezing the hips. If the woman is not facing you. So you're both facing the same way. You can achieve the same thing with rebozo if you've got two people, like two extra people. Birthing woman in the middle, rebozo around the woman's hips, and then as if you would go to tighten a knot, but you're not. So one person stands on the left and pulls, and one person stands on the right and pulls, and all of a sudden you feel weightless. You feel amazing. I don't know how feasible that is, but I can tell you that it feels awesome.
There's a few. I've seen some like demonstrations of rebozo techniques for like the hip squeeze, and one of them was the woman sat on a chair, like her legs at like a right angle, just like you would normally sit on a chair, and the partner like knelt in front of her. So it's really hard to like describe it, but the rebozo like round her hips, and then the partner can pull as if they're pulling them towards them, kind of off the chair, but not pulling them off the chair.
I feel like we need to, when we can see each other again, film a video about
We
about
should.
this.
I might be able to find it somewhere and post it after. But
Do it. Well, since we started talking about rebozo, or are you going to do something else?
Well, I was just going to say around physical touch that it doesn't have to be, it doesn't, whilst we are talking about like specific things that might be helpful, specific moves, if you like, sometimes it is just physical contact with someone that the woman loves or feels close to, a cuddle or a kiss, or someone just holding her hand. That, you know, often the turning points in labour come when a woman has a quiet moment with her partner and their foreheads are together and she feels that connection. They're not necessarily talking, they're holding hands, their heads are together. And the amount of strength that I've seen women get just from that physical contact, it isn't anything special. It isn't any special kind of massage or pressure. It is just closeness. It helps to boost our oxytocin. And yeah.
Very well said. Yes.
And women can boost their oxytocins by themselves.
Yeah.
As in touching themselves. But I don't want to make you squirm too much, Ellie.
Well, I feel like that should be gone into in more detail because it's not clear.
It's not clear.
She could just be stroking her arm. Is that what you're talking about?
She could stroke her arm.
She could stimulate her nipples or clitoris, or yeah.
Because both of those things are going to get the oxytocin flowing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And I would highly recommend looking more into orgasmic birth because, like, when you hear about it, often, especially women who've been socialized, as we all have, that birth has to be painful. The idea of birth, childbirth, and an orgasm being in the same, even close to one another sounds bonkers, doesn't it? But actually, it is how we're designed.
Yeah, it sounds bonkers until you realise that all the same hormones are at play.
Yeah.
Perfect sense.
Who is it that says that orgasm and childbirth are the same event, separated by time?
Is it not Michelle Adam?
It probably is. It's not like he's the only person that I read in the birth world. It's not. It's just that everything that he said made such an impression on me.
Yeah. But
physical touch from others, from self.
Yeah. Touch is good, unless you're Ellie.
Stop.
I'm joking.
Rebozo, since we kind of went there with rebozo. Rebozo is very hard to describe.
It's really hard. I've tried.
But it doesn't have to be an official rebozo. Any long, strung bit of fabric will do.
Yeah.
I often give women like woven wraps that are designed for carrying your baby afterwards, but they're great because they're so strong and long and really versatile. So yeah, like using them in ways that you've already described, Amy, like using them to add pressure on the hips or to move the hips, without having to use your physically touch the woman with your hands. Using it to, I can't think of how to describe this, but like putting the ends of the wrap or the rebozo in the door and shutting the door, and then using that to be able to bear down with.
Like leverage, kind of.
Yeah, in the way that often women like to hang off or lean on a birth partner, but they're never strong enough. I remember hanging off somebody in labour and wanting him to stand firm so I could just let go, but it wasn't enough. I could feel that his strength was limited.
Yeah, of course. So having that, like, really, like, you know, you're really sure that you can just like put your whole weight into it.
Exactly, yeah.
Secure. Yeah.
It can feel really good.
I think some videos or diagrams on Rebozo would probably be good to post after, because I can't describe any of the techniques.
Same.
Natalie Meadows has a really, really good video of how to use it in a doorway.
Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, I remember that.
So
tying a knot is very important, and remember which way your door opens is important.
Yeah.
Yeah, things like there's techniques like shaking the apples. It's going to be really hard to describe. Yeah, so let's find some stuff and post some stuff.
Definitely. We practiced that at my doula training and it felt amazing.
So you don't need to be pregnant to enjoy having your apples shaked.
No, I remember we were at a antenatal with a client and you were demonstrating for her on me and it felt really good.
You don't realise how much tension you hold in your bum and in your legs until somebody just shakes it up, and then somebody shakes it out of you and you go, woo.
There's another one, I know we're getting into it now, we can't describe it, but of like being laid on the floor and the rebozo under your hips and just lifting a tiny bit. Oh my god, like that felt amazing. I want to do these things all the time.
We can, when we're out of self-isolation and we can all just cover each other in rebozos and we can pretend that we're back in the womb. Let's do it.
And it's really, they're really good for before and after you have you're in labour as well, like when you're pregnant or after you've had your baby. I had really awful pelvic girdle pain, and second time around I used my baby wearing wraps to wrap around my hips and my bum, and it just helped everything to feel a bit more held and a bit more secure, and it was a lot more comfortable. And similarly afterwards, like when you've physically been that open and then all of a sudden your body's not holding all of that anymore, it can feel a bit unsettling, a bit like, oh, I don't know really where all my body parts are, and like having something like binding you, holding you, can just feel really safe and secure. But anyway, I've digressed.
Rebozo done. Well, no, to be continued with illustrations.
Yeah. We've missed out a really the thing that we always have with us that we don't need anything extra for. Breathing.
Oh, breathe.
No, we were just coming to it.
I know, but I feel like that started there.
I totally didn't like it.
You started out with the opposite. You started out with medical intervention.
No, well, I just thought I'd get that out of the way because, you know. From like a physical perspective, the uterus is one big muscle, and our muscles don't work very well without oxygen. They don't work very comfortably without oxygen. So from that perspective, breathing is really, really important, making sure that you're taking in enough oxygen, not breathing short and shallow, because if you do, then you're not going to get as much oxygen. It's not going to be as much oxygen going to your uterus and your baby. So breathing is good.
Breathing is good.
But then from I guess on the other side, breathing just really helps to ground you and to calm you. Especially if you've learnt a couple of breathing techniques. And sometimes I think breathing techniques is one of the things that women often say, oh, I need to learn some of those. As if they need to be really complicated. But I mean, I think the simplest one that I can think of is like breathing in for 4 and out for 8, or whatever numbers work best for you. But can just, help you to feel calmer, especially if you have had a surge that is where you've maybe spiraled a little bit and felt a bit out of control. That breathing is something that can really help bring you back.
Yeah, it's just that repetitiveness as well, isn't it? It doesn't really matter about the numbers. I mean, breathing out for longer than breathing in. But really, it's just doing the same thing, the same numbers. It's that repetition that anything rhythmic is helpful.
Absolutely.
It's something you can practice any time as well, like during your everyday life, during pregnancy. If you get really used to it, it's just gonna be natural to you.
And I think if it's something that you practice using in moments when you're feeling more stressed, it's a tool that you've got for life. I know that, I get anxious in a myriad of different situations, and that is the one thing that I've always got with me to help me be grounded and to come back to my center. As far as birth partners supporting you with that, I would say don't tell somebody to keep breathing. Don't tell somebody to breathe, because that isn't the way to get them to breathe. But I think the most effective thing is to model it. If you sit alongside a woman who is maybe starting to hyperventilate, and you just take some loud, big, slow, deep breaths, you will find that her breathing slows and becomes more rhythmic, and she starts to find her flow again.
Definitely.
Yeah, just breathe. It's just like, just calm down. Like, it doesn't work.
The opposite effect, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to breathe.
Absolutely. And then it's the thinking again, isn't it? If you're trying to drag someone into that, you have to breathe like this, then they have to concentrate on it, and that's not helpful. But
and sometimes a woman doesn't know that she's breathing really fast. All she knows is that she's feeling out of control, or she's feeling panicked. So telling her that she's also breathing wrong, as well as that it isn't helpful. But just being that calm center for her to draw on is really, really powerful.
Definitely.
I don't know if either of you said this, because I just had a little moment with my phone. Just that I think breathing is the most powerful tool that you have, because you always have it. Did you already say that?
Yeah.
Carry on.
Oh,
I might say it differently.
there's so I'm just gonna put my own spin on it, even if it's just
as good as mine.
Like whether you're at home or you're on your way to the hospital or you're in hospital, it doesn't matter how a myriad of things that you can't control, but you can always control your own breath. It's with you, all through the night, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. And it's okay if you've only you don't have to have a particular breath. It doesn't have to be this like well-researched and studied, evidence-based breath. If you know that you've got this one breath that you love to do, that you love to return to, then knowing that you have that is going to make you feel so confident going into labor. And if that's what you use and that's what helps you to feel grounded and safe, then that's awesome. That being said, any breath that's longer on the out breath than the in breath stimulates your vagus nerve and has a calming effect on the parasympathetic nervous system.
Nice. So you definitely said more on that bit than I did.
Yes.
I think this is one of my criticisms of hypnobirthing, actually, is is the breathing techniques, and that at this part of labor you have to do this breath, and at this part of labor you have to do this breath, and you have to learn them and you have to practice them, and if you haven't practiced them enough, then it's all fucking gonna go to shit. Sorry. But as you said, you just whatever breath feels good is the right one. There isn't a technique to learn here. Whatever feels good, lean into that, do more of it, keep going with it.
If it makes your surgery stronger,
lean into that.
doing something right, lean into it. Again, because with hypnobirthing, because because there's different breaths for different stages, then that can then stimulate your neocortex, because you're thinking, I want to do this breath, but does that mean that I'm in this stage, or is it too early to do this breath? Am I breathing? Should I be doing this kind of breath now that I want to do this? It's like, no. If you do in for 4 and out for 8 all the way through your labor, you're going to be good, because the second you need to not do that, then you'll do a totally different one, and that's okay.
And client recently, I think it's probably okay to say this, I'm not saying who she is, said that going when she went to the loo was just a really good time to practice being more in tune with her breath, having a poo, and I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, why not?
My hypnobirthing teacher told us all to do that. That was our homework, to breathe out our poos and to breathe on the toilet. And just doing that, like, it comes back to you in labour. You're like, if I can breathe the poo out, I can probably breathe the baby out. Awesome.
Yeah, and then you start to breathe in tune with your sensations, and that just reaffirms that they're not something that's happening to you. They are just a part of you, just an extension of you. A really powerful extension of you, but it's still something that isn't that can't overpower you.
Absolutely.
Because it is you.
You're having a tricky time, Ellie. Your screen is like flashing, and faces.
Very clean face on.
It's just this conversation with you. It's really lighting me up and bringing me to life.
I am fairly sure that's not what it is.
All right, I'm playing a really scary game.
You're doing a good job of multitasking.
Thank you.
Have you got any more? I'm sure there's loads more.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, of course do. Is there a time limit or not on this new platform? Before, is there a time limit?
I don't know, but we've gone over an hour and we're still going, so we're probably fine.
Maybe we should just say them without a really long discussion on each one.
Yeah.
Aromatherapy can be a good one. Smells.
Yeah.
Again, like there's obviously a whole school of thought around aromatherapy and specific smells for specific parts of labour, but I would just say go with a smell that you like.
Something like
not one that makes you think of your stupid ex.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I think one of the things that I would say there about smells is that you can change your mind about what you like in labour really quickly. Something that you loved 1 minute, it can feel like something horrible the next. So having your smells on something that you can easily move away from you. So don't necessarily put them directly on your skin. On a tissue that you can chuck away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not going to be if you've got a smell with you for labour because it's good for labour, but you don't like the smell of it, then it's not going to work for you, because then you've gone into the should category and you're already doing things that you should be doing rather than just following your own body and what you need. So don't worry about whether or not it's quote unquote a good one for labour.
Yeah. Heat.
Feet.
Heat.
Feet.
Heat.
Oh.
Heat.
I thought you said eat, like eating. Why not?
That's my favourite room reliever.
But I mean,
heat.
like hot water bottles, heated. What are those things that you have, Ellie, that you showed the other night?
Hand warmers.
Hand warmers. Yeah, can feel good.
Because it's a little documented phenomenon of labour, that the longer that labour progresses, or the closer she gets to the birth, the colder she gets, like the colder her feet get.
Which is why you've got big
And that can be.
socks in your doula bag.
I'm going to get rid of them one day.
I love
One
them.
day.
Non-vegan.
They're made of actual wool.
I know, but my feet are cold all the time. My feet need it.
I'm not vegan. Send them my way.
Okay, I'll get rid of woolly socks.
You're not going to help her be vegan by sending her woolly socks.
That's true.
But, you know, think about how helpful heat is when you got your period and your uterus is doing all kinds of things and it's feeling all intense and uncomfortable, that it can make such a difference just having some heat.
Yeah, and even if it's not like a direct warming you up thing, I mean, think about when you feel stressed, we're just drawn to get a cup of tea and put our hands around a cup of tea. When we're feeling that adrenaline, what effect does it have on your body when you grab your hot water bottle, you grab your heated pad, you just instantly feel safer. What's that? You got your heated pad?
I got my hot water bottle.
One behind me, one in front of me.
all trying to be warm. And it, you know,
stressed about doing a live.
Yeah, and you know, obviously we're not in the community right now, but if anyone ever sees me at a community group, I'm more likely to be found with my hot water bottle than not. And if I'm not, it's probably because it's just gone cold. It's a really powerful tool to help me stay calm and feel safe.
Because being cold produces adrenaline as well, and that's like really the last thing that you want. Michel Adon, I don't know if we've mentioned him yet today.
Oh,
that's a new name. Go on.
He says that you should always have a really hot birth room. He says make it, just about as hot as she can bear it, and then bring in a space heater when the baby's about to be born. And he says that if you warm the room enough, then the baby will not lose 1 gram of its birth weight after birth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cold flannels and a really hot room.
That's what he says.
Amazing.
So what else do we have at our disposal?
Moving around.
Movement.
I think especially that I've completely had a bit of a rave out then, sorry. But our babies your baby is moving down through quite a small space, but our bodies are really wise that our pelvis is dynamic. And in moving around, we allow our baby to move into the best position that they need to be in. So following that movement in our body helps. The call to move in certain ways can just help with how we experience the sensations. For some women, that's just finding like one position and staying there. And for other women, it's constantly moving around. And again, just like going with what feels good and what helps to bring those surges on and helps them to be stronger, and leaning into that.
Yeah. On the strain of movement, having a birth ball for some people is helpful for their movement.
Yeah, because it allows you to be supported, but for your pelvis to still, it takes the weight, but for your pelvis to still have that freedom of movement.
It can be quite rhythmic as well.
And again, to move away from the shoulds as well, like do not fall into the trap of thinking, oh, I should be walking around in labour, I should be walking up and down the stairs. It is perfectly acceptable. If you find a comfy position that feels good to you, you go for it. Even if that's lying down. Like lying down is only bad if you're being made to do it. Walking around is only bad if you're being made to do it. You don't feel like you have a choice. I've seen plenty of women who've just found a comfortable position lying down, but they're like, but I shouldn't be doing this. I know this isn't good for labour. If you feel good, then it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would also say that we've spoken a lot about doing things that help to make the surges stronger. But sometimes you feel really called to lie down, and it does make things slow down. But you're feeling called to do that for a reason, and it might be that you need a rest. It might be that your baby needs a rest. It might be that you both do, or that your baby needs your surges to slow down so it can get into a better position. There's so much about labour that we're not able to know about. It's just about trusting and surrendering to whatever it is that we're feeling called to do.
Absolutely. My next one was going to be rest, actually. To rest when your body's telling you to.
Yeah, because at no other time in our lives would we, unless we're like crazy enough to do a marathon or something, would we keep pushing and pushing when our bodies were saying you need to slow down right now. And I think if there's ever a time to listen to what your body's telling you to do, it's when you're having a baby. Because when you listen to that, you tune into that deep connection that you have, not just with yourself, but with your baby. And it's hard work having a baby, so resting when you can is good.
Absolutely.
And how can birth partners support the need for rest or for movement?
Movement, I would say, maybe I suppose this is stuff that we've already gone over, but like being that physical support for a woman to hang off so she can move in the way that she wants to. Not trying to restrict what a woman's doing. Sometimes women stand on sofas or hang off doors or do crazy things, and just trusting that she knows what she's doing. You don't need to tell her to get down or suggest something different. Just support her to do whatever feels good for her.
Yeah, and the same with the resting. If she needs to rest, then let that happen and protect it as much as we can.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest and most important task that a birth partner can take on is being the protector of the birth space. Because especially if you have midwives in attendance, they aren't always completely on board with the woman just following her body, especially if she's been in labour for a while, especially if there are some signs that have made the midwife feel anxious. That if things have been going well and then they slow down, and midwives often don't like that. But trusting the birthing woman and being a protector of her space, and you being the one to say, like, she's resting right now, this is good, like, leave her be.
Yeah, she's not her body.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, she's a fully grown woman. She can stand on a chair and not fall off. Like, she's good. Back off.
Yes, Laurie.
Yeah, I think so much of being a birth partner isn't the things that you can do to or for the woman. It is in protecting the space so that she can do those things for herself, because her instincts are strong and she will do the things that feel good to her, and she will let you know if she needs something extra in the way that she is. But I think that is probably more important than any of the things we've said so far.
Definitely.
Should we have a quick recap?
Yeah. Water.
Michelle done.
What, have Michelle done at your birth?
He would just go to sleep. He's been very clear that he opens the door and says, "Where should I go to sleep?" And that's it.
Nice.
Unless he's needed.
You want to read
What do doulas do to contribute toward comfort? Would you say that doulas are in themselves a comfort measure?
Yes.
In the way that we protect, like we've just said, for birth partners as well, like we protect that that space and just trust that the woman is doing what she needs to do, and
Yeah, because our primary role is in holding space and is in creating and holding that safe container for the woman to be in. And when the woman feels that she's safely held, she'll be able to lean into anything that she needs to do to feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
So, recap. I guess the overall thing is when the woman is able to relax, then the natural pain relieving hormones are able to do their job. So whatever makes you feel relaxed in normal life. So if you have your own practice of breathing or of mindfulness or of meditation or of exercise, anything that makes you feel like you and makes you feel grounded and makes you feel confident, all of that stuff, even if you've never seen it in an antenatal class, that is part of your practice, and we birth as we live. So you can call on that, and you can absolutely use that, and you can in labor. Don't worry if you've never read it in a book as a thing to do in labor. You already have your own practice, and that's awesome. So use it. But then all of your other things are just like your water and your TENS machine. They are all things to have right there in your little in your arsenal, and then you can draw on them before labor to think, I've got this in my toolkit, and I've got this, and I've got this, and I've got these skills, and I've got this technique, just to know. And you might not use any of them, and that's okay. We didn't really talk about hypnobirthing, did we?
Bits of it, the breathing, although we kind of said the opposite, but yeah, hypnobirthing is fun.
Save that for another day.
Yeah, but it just slot into all the other things, because if you know that you have it and you know that you can call on it, then it makes you feel more comfortable, and it makes you look forward to labor more, and then it makes you it breaks that fear, tension, pain cycle, which is what they're all about, really. I'm looking forward to your birth. What were the other ones? Aromatherapy. Find smells you like. If you put it on your skin, it's going to be hard to get rid of if you suddenly hate it. Something that you can easily change. What else?
Your breath.
Breath you always have. There are no rights and wrongs. As a birth partner, you can support it. Support deeper breathing or more relaxed breathing by modeling.
Your mindset.
Creating a positive mindset where you believe in yourself, which is again another facet of hypnobirthing with the positive affirmations. And your fear releases as well.
Touch.
Touch, yeah. Warmth.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Ellie's just making me laugh.
What? Because you wanted to dedicate the entire hour to touching yourself?
No.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Everything that I said, you gave a little summary. I said touch. You went touch. I think that was it.
Yeah. Heat, cold flannels,
Heat, cold.
Rest when you need to rest. Eat when you need to eat. Drink when you need to drink.
Just trust yourself.
Yeah.
Trust that you are, that whatever's going to come, you've got what it takes to handle it. And yeah, I think so much about preparing for labour isn't really preparing, but surrendering.
Absolutely. I was only laughing at Ellie then because she was about to start talking.
Yeah, but what you said was gold. Labour doesn't have to be painful, and there's actually no physiological reason as to why it would be. So it is possible to have a painless experience.
But if you don't, it doesn't mean you've done it wrong.
No.
There is no wrong way to have a baby.
Hell no.
This makes me want to have a baby now.
Well, hopefully that's the effect that we've had. People are excited about having their babies and feeling confident about it.
Yeah.
As always, if you want to speak to us and have a one-to-one about any of these topics or something we haven't talked about, just send us a message. We'll make it happen.
Yeah. If you have a suggestion for a future topic, because I think we're getting into doing these lives. We've been talking for over an hour and almost an hour and a half.
Oh no.
So yeah, I think we're into doing them now, aren't we?
Yeah.
It's
We have a topic.
honest.
If you hate them though, and you don't want to see us anymore, then don't tell us that. Tough. Just don't like the page.
Watch it. That's if anyone's still watching an hour and 20 minutes in.
I don't think anyone's still watching.
After half an hour of technical difficulties, remember?
Oh gosh.
10 minutes of my face looking confused. That's
Oh,
enough for everyone, I think.
it's been awesome.
Right, yeah.
Let's do it again sometime.
Ooh. Yeah, when? Oh, we'll decide that another time.
Yeah.
Right, thanks for watching, anyone who is or was.
Been awesome. Bye.